special holiday episode of the Absurd Cinema Lounge. It's the spookiest month of the year, and your hosts are counting down 5 films for the Halloween season. So turn down the lights and enjoy all the tricks and treats they have to offer. The lounge is now open.
Come in, come in. Welcome to the Absurd Cinema Lounge. We're taking a break from our regular episodes to celebrate the Halloween season. We've decided to do separate mini episodes this month and focus on our top 5 scary films. In this mini-sode, Toni is going to break down her top 5.
And in the next episode, Kara will share her top 5 picks.
I know this was pretty hard, wasn't it?
It's so hard, but I think it's also a cool thing to do because I guarantee we're not going to have the same top 5.
Right. It's kind of exciting to see what you're going to have versus what I'm going to have. So, I mean, we could do these episodes over and over because we would have different things.
Right.
There's just a multitude of films. Well, we normally do a segment where we talk about what we've been watching or doing recently. However, today we're going to discuss all things Halloween. So, Toni, do you have any favorite Halloween candy or something you don't like?
When I was young, I absolutely hated, of course, those orange and black things. But I absolutely hated like the cheap Dum Dums and Sicklets, and because when you go and you're supposedly the parents are checking your candy, I would make a pile of bottle caps. I mean, I like nerds, but come on, we all want chocolate. So I would go and make 2 different piles and then give my mom those. But then I would try to hoard. I mean, sometimes the chocolate didn't make it back.
Well, right. My favorite would have to be the Snicker bars or the peanut butter cups,
Right.
the Reese's.
Take 5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Take 5. But it's so funny that you said those orange and black things. I hated those things, and it seemed like we always got an abundant amount of those. I never knew the name of them, but they were called Mary Jane peanut butter kisses. But however, it's good to know because this company called Nico, Neco, they used to make those. They went out of business in 2018.
Oh, they also did those wafers, those like Nico wafers.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we haven't seen them either.
Were those the ones with the flying, like we called them flying saucers with the candy in them? Oh, yeah, I remember that. We used to go to the little dime store candy shop, and those were always there.
And Halloween has really changed. When I took my son, it was like we would get, of course, money, which we got a little bit of that probably, but they would have
a penny.
Yeah, well, they would get nickels or dimes.
Here's your penny.
But a lot of people nowadays buy pretzels, juice boxes, things, little bags of popcorn,
Do people
fruit
still
roll-ups.
Do people still do those popcorn balls? Remember that? It was all like hard and stale.
Break your teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they help your teeth come out when you're a kid. But I was like, don't go to that house.
Or remember, like there was always an employee of Pepsi, and they get that house has the full cans of pop.
Yeah. Pop and full size candy bars.
Yep.
And, I mean, we would go for hours and then dump the candy off and in a pillowcase, empty it, go out for more. I remember knocking on doors at like 10, 11, 12 at night.
Yeah,
that's
true.
when Halloween was fun.
Yeah.
Now, because even with my son, it was like, okay, I went 2 blocks. I'm ready to go home.
You're tired.
I'm like, oh, we could get more candy, because your mom wants it.
Right. Go out there and get your mama some candy.
Yeah. And he'd be like, can't we just go buy some?
It's so
Yeah,
different now.
so different. I mean, we would have those horrible plastic suits. Remember, like I'm Wonder Woman,
And it's
and it'd be like
plastic. Be ripped
crunch,
up.
crunch.
Be ripped up by the end of the night.
Or the best part was, I'm a punk rocker, and you just had makeup all over your face, and your hair was just in pigtails or whatever, and you just have mismatched clothes on.
Right, right. Oh my God. So before we get to your picks, you were assigned to pick a cocktail for us to enjoy. What did you
Uh-huh.
decide on?
I want to make a witch's brew lemonade.
Oh,
Um, then after I did my choosing of the cocktail and then my movies, I'm like, oh, maybe there's a reason why, and I didn't know.
oh, okay. Dun dun dun.
Right.
That's so
So
cool.
it's gonna be the witch's brew
Mhm.
cocktail.
Okay.
Which I'll give a little.
Where'd you find it?
I found it.
Online, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I found it online. Many different ones. I did find one on delish.com. I mean, you could even Google Halloween cocktails. I prefer gin, um, just especially that Empress
Mm-hmm.
1908 gin. Hi guys.
Because
No,
it's beautiful. Yes, hello. We
not
want we want to be involved with Empress
I mean,
Gin.
not only that it it tastes really good. It's not like your normal gin, but it's so pretty on top. So it's 2 ounces of the gin, 1 ounce blue Curaçao. We're gonna do some crushed ice and then some sparkling lemonade. So very easy,
Very simple.
simple. You can even do a sprig of rosemary on top.
For a little-
Rosemary's baby, get
Yeah.
it? Ha ha ha. Witches, but that's like devil stuff. But
Same kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So very easy. So I'll whip this up and have you try it, Kara.
Cool. Are you just gonna like put everything but the? Because you said sparkling lemonade.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna put everything in a shaker and then just pour the lemonade over the finished cocktail in a glass.
Yeah. In the picture, they have the very distinct colors.
Oh, it's like layered.
It's layered.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this started because I can't wait.
The night of the formal is finally here. For Chris, Cindy, and JC, it's going to be the best night of their lives. But tonight is also the night of the creeps. From a world unknown comes a nightmare unimagined. First, they are under you, around you, on you, and then inside you.
They get in through your mouth, and you walk around while they incubate, even if you're dead.
They are a new breed of terror.
Wait!
They are a different kind of horror.
Zombies, exploding heads, creepy crawlies. We could have a little problem.
The creeps are taking over.
Oh, I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
You have never had a night like this. Night of the creeps. If you scream, you're...
All right, we're back. I hope you enjoyed that little film trailer there. So
Of
we have our
course.
cocktails, and it is layered, so it's not a drink that is shaken or stirred or anything like that. Which most of our drinks are shaken.
I mean, it's a witch's brew, so I'm sure witches just throw things into a pot, right?
Right,
So
they don't have
shake
time.
stuff up.
They don't have time for that. They've got, spells to cast. All right, so this cocktail, I can really taste the gin.
What's the thing with the gin that's different? Because it's like that
Well,
purple color. when you-
Yeah. It's not really juniper. Like gin has a juniper. Like some people think it's like Christmas tree tasting. But with Empress, it's not.
Yes.
I believe there's even some tea in there, some type of a tea. And And then they do use the pea flour. That's what makes the color.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do anything to the taste, as far as I know. I don't know, Empress. Hello, you can contact us and let us know more information.
All right. So my top 5. Let's get
All right,
into this.
Let's
okay.
go.
This is hilarious because she does not know
Okay.
what these
No,
movies are,
no.
and this is going to be good because I don't even think she's seen some of.
Oh, that's
one of these.
exciting.
One of these.
Okay.
I
So
know
you
she's
have
seen
to
the
sell
others.
us on these movies.
Okay, so let me just start off with um, my
Number
top 5 does not include the normal,
Friday the
Halloween,
13th. Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Yep.
I love those movies.
And
so
that's
I
just
wanted
a
to do
given.
something a little different.
Awesome.
I don't want to be like, oh, Jason Goes to Hell is my number 5, okay? So, first off, and at the end, I do have a couple honorable mentions.
Okay.
Because
It's hard.
Yeah. Also, these movies are kind of what, in my time, like what I remember growing up in certain times of my life, which that's what movies I think kind of we share.
We relate to
we relate
time.
to is,
Yeah.
So the first one, number 5, because I thought I'd go 5 to 1 instead of 1 to 5. Okay.
That's how we're doing it.
Our first movie is The Craft, 1996.
Oh, okay.
We're going to stick with these witches, get it? Okay. That's a theme a little bit. So this stars Fairuza Balk, who you remember from The Waterboy, Vicky Valancourt, So this was a movie she's in, who she played Nancy, which was a good, crazy character that she played well.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Tunney, who's been in a few other movies that in recently too, and Nev Campbell with the Scream, and that's like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, all these kind of movies, these young adult horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to say was coming out at this time. So this one, it had Skeet Ulrich, who you may know now, that was on Riverdale. Just did a lot of different movies. And Scream, he was in that series, first one.
Mm-hmm.
So the director was Andrew Fleming. This movie did gross when it came out, $55.6 million.
Oh.
So the little plot of this movie was after transferring LA high schools, Sarah, who is Robin Tunney in the show, finds her telekinetic gifts, appeals to a group of wannabe witches, which is Fairuza Balk, Nev Campbell, and Rachel True is the 4th girl. Also, this had the girl that played Marsha Brady in the TV, like the movies.
Oh, yes.
Christine Taylor, that was married to Ben Stiller.
Okay.
So, and she played the bad girl, and who basically, I would say a scene that is a great scene. It's like after they figure out, like, man, yeah, we're witches now. Watch out, we're bad. Is the girl constantly was harassing. They were on the swim team, and Rachel True's character kept getting harassed and bullied by her, and she made all her hair fall out. So she's sitting up in the shower stall. No savage streets were going on there. Okay. And her hair's falling out, and she's crying, and I just don't know. It just keeps falling out. And so, because she had beautiful blonde hair, and she was the popular girl. So,
and was she like flipping it all the time?
Oh,
It was
yes.
like,
And very like Marsha Brady.
Yeah.
Kind of. So,
I did see that movie.
And okay, I wasn't sure.
It's been a long time, but I do remember that it was very entertaining.
Yes.
So, and it does have a witch off at the end.
Yes.
So I love a good witch off.
And I bind you, Nancy, from doing harm to yourself and others. That's like a
right.
I mean, you can even see the gifts they have on like online and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
awesome.
a good one.
That's a good number 5. Now,
so,
what about 4?
number 4? Poltergeist 1982. And I have to say this because, well, I guess this is good. So if you repeat any of mine, then you get time to change yours.
No, not gonna
But
do
I
that.
doubt
It's
you.
set in stone.
Yes. So I chose this one because this was 1982. Just a few, I remember seeing this probably when I was like 5, 6 years old, like after, it came out. I
Right.
didn't go to the movies to see this or anything. Um, but it had Craig T. Nelson, Joe Beth Williams, and of course, Carol Ann, Heather O'Rourke. So definitely people of the 80s that we've seen in TV shows and other movies, directed by Toby Hooper, who, of course, did Texas Chainsaw. And also, this movie was written and produced by Spielberg, which I did see an interview with Joe Beth Williams that basically said Spielberg really did this movie. It was all him because it was his vision, but he kind of took over. But being that, we all know, I never remembered that their last name was the Freelings.
Mm-hmm.
I was,
Yeah.
I know, I thought, I've seen this movie a dozen times. And that's something else. Like, I don't really watch movies over and over.
Mhm.
So these 5 movies, reason how I chose them is ones that I have seen multiple times, because there's a lot of times I'll see a movie once, maybe twice, but there's only a select few that I can keep watching.
Right. Did you rewatch any of these on your list?
I did watch this one.
Oh, okay.
And I did watch
Your number. You don't have to say it yet.
I'd say, and of course I watched The Craft,
Okay.
but I have watched these in the last, I'd say, couple months,
Okay,
like type
okay.
of thing. So not like all in the, since the
Mhm.
last time we've seen each other.
Right. So what's your favorite scene from that? There's too
okay.
many, I know.
There's so many good ones. But of course the mom, Jo Beth Williams, in the pool with the skeletons.
Oh,
Which were real skeletons.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Because in the interview that I saw, shout out to Josh Gates, because I love Josh Gates. He had her on, and she was talking about that they didn't tell her, but they
Yeah.
were real.
Well, because back then you could, I don't know if you can still do that now, but you could get these medically graded skeletons that people would sell. They're from India or whatever. Because I remember
Yes, they're in a movie.
Return of the Living Dead, explain
Yeah.
that, but that is true. So
But we know, if you want to know the plot, well, first we know they're the Freelings. So the ghosts commune with the Freelings family through their TV set. Initially friendly, playful, but we soon know they turn menacing, and Carol Ann goes missing, and so they call a parapsychologist and, of course, an exorcist, and then we kind of find out why this all was going on. It just didn't happen.
Right.
It used to be some cemetery. It was built on top of a cemetery.
Right.
And but it did gross, 121.7 million. I mean, that's why I was like, pretty much, and it's still going strong. And how many sequels? I will say also, The Craft had a sequel, or a remake more so, last year, that's on Hulu.
Did you see that one?
I haven't seen it. I did see the previews, and what I don't like about remakes or about certain movies is they put like this CGI
Uh-huh.
crap to it. So in it, they have I saw on the trailer,
Right.
the girl, she's wanting to do her magic, and it's like wispy things and butterflies floating around and all that. I'm like, that's stupid.
Just get to it.
Yeah. And sometimes the unknown is so much scarier than the known.
Right.
For instance, with, Poltergeist, the whole time in the beginning, when Carol Ann and Debbie, the mom, are in the kitchen, and how she goes over and the camera pans and she's in the kitchen and she kind of goes, and then the chairs are all stacked up. There were
That's
actual
creepy.
people doing that, like off camera.
Off camera, that fast.
And then bing, and then they're, and to me that's creepier than, So that was my number 4.
Nice. I remember seeing that as a kid when it premiered on HBO. So this was probably like 83,
Right.
And the whole movie was creepy, but that stupid clown.
Oh, and the little brother and the teeth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it was, and just like they showed their neighborhood with the whole kids.
It was almost like
everybody
normal. Like this could happen anywhere.
Right.
So yeah.
And you watch it through, and at the end they make it out, and it's crazy how they're just getting ready to take off, and then at the same point the teenage daughter shows up and they just whisk her off with them, but that boyfriend, I always thought, what did he think? Like,
right.
But then they, got to the hotel, and they never again, they had a TV probably.
Right.
But, it just that, I know these movies bring money in, and that's what people want to see is sequels, but we could have left it there.
Right. Because that was totally.
I mean, and we do have to say, we'll have to tie this in, is so when the team came of the parapsychologists, and what was his name from our last movie?
It was Ryan, and he was in Sugar Hill, and he played Valentine in Sugar Hill.
And he had a smaller fro.
Yes.
He was, jeans, and so it was just funny how, and then I don't know, did we say that he was married to Beyonce's mom, Tina?
I don't know.
So if you listen to Sugar Hill, he's married to Tina Knowles, Beyonce's mom.
Yeah.
So
Valentine / Ryan is Beyonce's stepdaddy.
Right. Okay.
Number 3.
So, number 3. It's gonna get good now.
Oh shoot.
Number 3, Silver Bullet, 1985, which stars Corey Haim, poor Corey Haim.
And also
our favorite, Gary Busey,
yes,
and Everett McGill. So also it stars Megan Follows from our favorite growing up, Anne of Green Gables.
Right. I love
she played
Anne
the
of
sister.
Green Gables. I love that.
Who she's also on Rain on Netflix, and it's a series, but it's kind of back in 1500s. It's a good one. So she plays the mom, and she's like evil and all that. So she's awesome.
Oh, I should check that out.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So when I saw, and then who else played in this movie? Classic 80s character, Terry O'Quinn, who played the stepfather.
Yes.
And he played the sheriff. He was the sheriff.
Yeah, he was in Stepfather. He was also in.
He's been in so many things.
But he was also in Lost.
I forgot. Yes.
Yeah.
But he's another good actor.
Nice.
That maybe he's not the title character, but he is a good actor.
Right, you remember him.
Yes. But Gary Busey played Uncle Red. Corey Haim was Marty, and Jane was the sister. This was directed by Dan Atticus, I think, or Adias, maybe. But it grossed $12.4 million at the time, which was a pretty good chunk. So this one was one that I pulled out for the Stephen King era. from Cycle of the Werewolf was the short story, which is funny about this whole movie is so we have Marty that's in the wheelchair. And they don't really say what happened to him, that he was just in an accident.
Mhm.
So he's in a wheelchair. He has a mom and he has the dad and the sister. But then, so all these random deaths are happening in the town. In Maine, of course,
Of course, he became Maine.
which is Tarker's Mill, Maine. Okay. So the residents decide we have to hunt down whatever's killing these people because it was like an animal type attack, obviously. So they were like, we're going to get together. But then the posse of the vigilantes are dying now.
Oh,
So they're like, what the heck? You know? So poor little Marty in his wheelchair, which it was a good, it wasn't a
was-
hindrance.
no, it was a
yeah.
decked out
Yeah, it was
type
a,
of.
so here's Uncle Red that goes, I'm going to give you this powered, gas powered wheelchair. And
Is that
which,
even safe to give a child?
so then Marty kind of figures out who the werewolf or who's doing it. And the werewolf, and it's a werewolf. And of course, I'm just going to tell the whole story here. Hey, he writes a note to who he thinks it is. And he's right, of course. You should just kill yourself. But so it figures out, Gary Busey, he was good as always, but just crazy Gary Busey, I
Yeah,
just
this
always
was
think
like
of his-
pre-accident Gary Busey.
Yeah, this was before. So Marty goes on his mission to get the werewolf, capture it, or kill it. And the fireworks scene was great, that because basically since this werewolf or somebody's killing this animal's out, they canceled their July 4th fireworks and all that. So he takes them upon but himself to try to figure this out. And the story is told by Jane, the sister, of what happened that summer, basically. So check it out if you haven't, but of course it's a good time.
Uh-huh. What year was this from
It
again?
was 1985.
Okay.
And this did, 12.4 was pretty good. When its budget's like 5. And I mean,
so it
been,
did make a little money.
yeah, and it's still around today.
And it's a cult film.
It's a cult film, yes. So here are the next two that definitely are gonna get Kara going. Oh, what's up?
What was your favorite scene? Do you have one of that one?
The one, of course, with the fireworks scene where
okay.
it gets him in the eye.
Yes.
But then he tells Uncle Red, here's my silver medallion that he had, the sister's necklace. They melt these down, make a silver bullet, and that's so he's ready, but
okay.
He does shoot him in the eye with the firework, and that's how he sees that who it is, because then he sees. I don't want to give everything away.
They change back.
Yes.
All right. So
number 2.
Uh-oh.
1977 Suspiria. Another witch.
Yes.
That's why I was like, oh, the Witch's Brew would go good with my top 5. This, of course, was directed by Dario Argento, starring Jessica Harper, Joan Bennett, and Alida Valli.
Yes.
Great soundtrack by Goblin. They really make it suspenseful and like what's going on. It's another one where it had it did have effects, not CGI, of course, but it did have the effects to where you were like, what in the heck is going on? Like the one with the blind guy and the dog, my favorite scene. Well, first scene that was my favorite. The last is the last scene of the show. So
I know you can't say the last scene because that gives it away. I know.
But I will say okay, so this is the plot. American ballet student, who is Jessica Harper, transfers to a prestigious dance academy in Germany, but realizes soon after a series of brutal murders, the academy is a front for a supernatural conspiracy. So that kind of gives you a hint of what goes on. But it it does have a remake that came out 2 years ago or so, a year ago. It's not the same type of, yeah. I mean, it's, to me, then it has to be a pretty awesome movie if somebody wants to remake it.
Right.
But
right.
it's just kind of.
I will say that when we watched the remake, my husband, he liked it. But he said you have to kind of think of it as not. It's a different story. Think of it that way.
It's a modern day story.
Yeah. Don't think of it as trying to remake your favorite type of movie or whatever.
And that's what's hard.
Yeah. It's hard. Same with Poltergeist. They
Yeah.
remade that, and I was like, it doesn't have the same feeling.
Yes.
You know.
And that's what's hard is these movies in the 70s and 80s, some were new concepts.
Yes.
Like, for instance, with Silver Bullet, that was just based off a story, but you had a I hate to say a handicap.
He was more able.
Yes. He was the star because he had the smarts, and it didn't matter that he was in a wheelchair.
Right. He was the main.
And he was fighting off werewolves.
Yeah.
With Gary Busey. So, but definitely, it has great cinematography. The blood isn't the blood because obviously this isn't an American movie, but the blood scenes are different. So there's the scene that I'll tell you about is.
We have a cat that's climbing a screen right now. So Toni is going to help him get down so he doesn't fall to his death. He must see a bug up there. I'm going to leave this in the recording because people need to know about these cats.
And they're black.
Yes.
So the cat lived. That's
You almost didn't.
Life number 5. So
yeah,
but the
cinematography was good.
cinematography, there's a scene where there's a blind guy that is a teacher at the school, and he kind of the head people aren't very happy with him, and they have a dog. His seeing eye dog turns on him and kills him.
Very graphically.
Very graphic.
Yes. She just slammed her drink down. What are you trying to say with that?
I know. I'm like, I didn't even shoot it and then do it, So my number 1 movie.
Oh gosh. I'm excited to hear what this number 1 is.
Rabid Grannies. 1989 it came out, but then in America it was, 88 it was released, and it came to the States in 89.
It's a Belgium film.
So they're not well-known actors, but Anne Marie Fox, Catherine Mirier, and Danielle Davin. It was directed by Emmanuel Kern. You can catch this on Amazon Prime, YouTube. It's hard. You have to search for this. This isn't gonna just be on Netflix or Hulu.
No.
But what I love about this movie, it's funny, but has the horror aspect of blood and guts. So here's the plot of this movie. Seeking revenge for being dropped from the family will, the black sheep of the family sends a satanic gift which transforms 2 grandmas into cannibalistic demons intent on eating their greedy relatives. Okay, was that awesome? Okay.
I know.
But it's funny, but there's also a lead character who, each of these relatives So this is how it starts. Of course, the grandmas are sweet, which they call them aunties.
Oh,
So
yeah.
are they
Oh,
really
aunties.
grandmas? I mean, they're older ladies. So they have this huge mansion. They're having this birthday party, and they're like, come on. They're telling the whole family. So then, as each relative is making their way to the mansion, you're kind of finding out their skeletons. You know, there's a guy that cheats on his wife, and there's one that's like a lesbian. There's a family with little kids, which, you know, they cross the line of little kids won't get killed.
They're not safe.
They're
No.
not safe. Um, but there's the housekeepers. So the family comes, everything's okay. They each settle into a room where they're gonna stay, and knock knock, here comes the gift. And so they said, "Oh, it's from Christopher, and we'll open it at dinner." And so the housekeepers put it up there, and they're serving them, and you could just tell they're just not nice. Like they're there for money. They're not there,
Right.
except for the one that's like the lesbian, because
She
she's like
came with somebody.
she came with somebody.
One of the ladies.
Yeah, but it
as
was
her
like,
lover.
oh, we're friends, I think.
They were trying to hide.
But she wasn't family.
No, she wasn't.
So maybe that's why. So, and it's like a dark looking film, like the cinematography and all that. But
It
so
was very low budget.
yeah, it's awesome. So they open. They're like the best scene we all know. Well, there's a couple, but this one is
For
the best.
you.
They're like the family, these greedy relatives, clapping, and they're like, "Bring us a knife for the cake." Like, what assholes, you know? And the grandmas or aunties, they call them, you know, are like,
And they're so fake when they do that.
yes.
They're just there for like money.
And so they come, and because they're like, yeah, we're doing our diligence of coming here once a year. Like, we're, you know, showing up for you. Like, and so here comes the knife for the cake, and they say, "Oh, aren't you going to open the gift?" And so they open the gift. And it was a box, and it was like, see, that's the other thing.
And it wasn't just like a cardboard box.
Yeah.
It was like a weird box, like witchy box.
like a book box.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this like force inside comes out and gets the grandmas, you know. And so then they're kind of getting all sick looking.
Twitching and shaking
Yeah.
like they had a big, strong drink.
They're ticking. And I just thought of the Humpty dance when you said that. So they go and they start to change. Well, then right when the cake's going to be cut, because, you know, the little boy yells, "Smashing!" It's like, what the heck am I watching? It's the kind that's the feeling you get. But then, so the family scatters. Somebody gets killed right away. They turn into these, like their clothes fall off and their hair, and they're just like demon looking with like long fingers and all that. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
The help is running. They're all split up, and so it's these grandmas walking through the mansion, killing one by one. So that was the fun part about this. But yeah, you can catch this on Amazon Prime or even YouTube.
Is it to rent on Amazon, or you can? Is it playing?
Rent.
Oh,
yeah.
But YouTube's got the full movie.
Yeah, but I think it's like YouTube
DVD.
or if you have the DVD. Now the thing is, so reason why I chose this, we watched this dozens of times. This is the movie when we went to our local video store, walked around and looking, and we saw every movie there. And it was a movie with two little sweet grandmas with like black around their eyes on the cover. And this little girl who, these were not the people in the movie.
No. And it was distributed by Troma.
Oh yeah, that's the other
Right.
reason.
So when you think of that, you're like, oh gosh, you know, even though I think some trauma films are funny, like Sergeant Kabuki Man and things like that, but then you put this movie on, you're like, wait a minute, this is not a trauma film.
Yeah,
Uh, they just distributed it.
it's just
To,
dark.
yeah,
Like you feel like I want to shine a light on this, and so the hero character gets that makes it out alive basically
Mhm.
is the lesbian, and
Mhm.
because the man is like they're locked in that room, and that's another classic scene.
Oh, and that
Is
line she says,
yeah, she goes, "Who pushed that dresser against the door? Me, the lesbian."
yeah, because they always, I remember them saying, shut up, lesbian, get out of the way. And she's just like,
Because then they
"Screw you."
were all after just myself, even the mom and dad with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, it's all everybody for themselves, So that's what was like. What am I watching
Yeah,
here?
it was funny. Really
There,
tongue in cheek with gore.
yes, a lot of the killing scenes were very gory.
Mhm.
But didn't you say they were trying to remake this?
Yes. I looked on IMDb at one time and it was in pre-production.
I mean, the story itself is pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a sequel or a remake. I mean, obviously, I think it's a remake, but it
Yeah.
was going to be in, I think, in Belgium again. It wasn't an
Oh.
American made
Oh,
thing.
so we wouldn't get that.
So, oh, we will. If I have anything to do it, I will find this movie.
Right. So it was awesome. And, we watched it in the early 90s,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Those times for films were so fun. Like The Hunt was fun,
Yes.
finding them way before internet.
And we had a couple, like, of course, we had a Blockbuster, but we
Mhm.
also had a couple, like, low rent video stores.
Right.
To where they would have these off the wall.
Well-
Because Blockbuster would not
No,
have that.
no, little mom and pop places.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were so fun. Fine.
Which, if you have Netflix, I believe it's Netflix. I saw the last Blockbuster show on there, movie,
Mhm.
and it's kind of talks. There is actually like one Blockbuster left, and when the movie started, when they start, and it's like, what's that called?
What?
It's not a movie like you think. It's not like that, but it's like a document.
Oh, it's a documentary.
Yeah. So when they first start out with the show, there's five, and slowly, but they talk about like the history and what happened and why it wasn't because like Netflix. It really wasn't because technology. It was basically what the companies did to themselves. So
Oh, okay.
you'd have to watch it, but they talk about how video stores came around and what they had to do to get these movies. So I can't
Mhm.
imagine and how much they really spent.
Right. Yeah.
But that whole feeling of let's go walk around and find a movie and then go watch it. That was like a date night type of thing.
Right. Or like the
And-
weekend, we would go and
Yes.
and you would look at the cover and go, "What the heck is this?" Or it would just have some random weird artwork, and then you're like, "Let's try it." And then it's some like German film, and you're
Yes.
like, "What? I can't believe they are showing this."
This is crazy.
I know.
So
that's
those
so
are
cool.
my five.
That's awesome.
Now here are my honorable mentions.
Okay.
I have three of them.
Okay.
And this is not including like Halloween, Friday the 13th.
We're not doing
any
those.
of those. The Blair Witch Project. Witch.
You really did like that?
1994. The idea of it. Because, okay, so I remember going to the movies and being like, what the heck is this about? And my friend, it's like it was supposed to be real. But then I'm like, this isn't real.
That was early days of internet, and they put it
Yes.
out there like it was a real missing person thing, and they
Yeah.
found this footage. I remember, and I
And-
went to the theater to see it too,
Yeah.
and I brought mom.
Oh my
I was disappointed in it because I'm a huge
Well, because you
Horror
thought
hound.
you would get
yeah,
like a reasoning
Right.
to this.
and where
Instead
mom
it
was like, ah, you know.
Yeah. But it was 1994.
Mhm.
I'm in high school. So at that period, like the Blair Witch Project, Interview with a Vampire, because that's another one that
Louis. All I need to find you, Louis, is to follow the trail of rats.
yes, because I was in. Okay, so I'll just give you a little clip of like what I was thinking back then. Oh yeah, there's this hot Brad Pitt, but it was more like Tom Cruise's I'm coming back to film.
Mhm.
The way it was set up, and you were just like, oh my God, look at Tom Cruise. Like, oh, he's this part. He's very, like, so different than what he ever did. But then now, who I think about is Brad Pitt,
Mhm.
his character. But back then, it was all about I'm back. And Christian Slater was,
Uh-huh.
my favorite. Those are like the times, like the
Uh-huh.
actors, and then here comes old ass Tom Cruise, who was like long hair and sucking blood, and so those, of course, were my favorites. Another one, The Omen,
Oh, the original one.
1976.
Oh, yeah.
The original, that was one that, because it was like The Exorcist, I've watched it, but that's another one that gets so like heavy.
Mhm.
I mean, she's possessed, so here's this little boy, Damien, who, poor kids that were ever named Damien,
Right.
is associated with this. But the whole devil thing makes it like with Rosemary's Baby, and I mean, at least there wasn't. I mean, it was just different.
Right.
Those are a whole different kind of level of horror shows. That's, I think, is when you
Mhm.
come to
Well,
that.
and it's a little kid.
Yeah, and it's a little kid.
Is it real? Is it not? Yeah.
And, remembered, look, Damien, look what I've done
Or
for
this
you.
all for you,
Yeah, it's all for
Damien.
you.
Yeah.
And so my final honorable mention is this. I actually watched this all the way through like 2 weeks ago, and I actually really liked it.
Oh.
Because this goes from that time period of movies where they're all great, and I don't think they get as much recognition. But 1954, Rear Window with Jimmy Stewart.
Oh my goodness.
Alfred Hitchcock. So, I mean, of course, we have Psycho, and we have The Birds, and we have, but actually, think about, I mean, they've made, of course, this redone this movie.
Right. The same premise, kind of. Yeah.
But, here he's laid up, and it's, he's seeing this, and you get to kind of see what's going on, and then at the end, because they do the classic Hitchcock, like zoomed in on the face of the camera, or the face of the actor, and they're like falling, but it's like,
oh yeah.
But just that whole thing is like, there really was a murder, and because that could happen in small town America as well. But yeah, so I love that one. So
that's awesome. I'm so proud of you that you found Rear Window. That's great.
I mean, I've heard of it and all that, but I've never watched it beginning to end.
See, we watch a lot of TCM, and sometimes you think, oh, it's an old movie. I never think of that, of course, but some people do. Well, this was so much fun. I really liked all those movies that you picked. And I'm glad that we're doing another episode like this.
Me too.
Because I have to pick mine. So, and like with you, it was really hard for me. So yeah, that wraps up this episode. Let us know what you think of Toni's picks. We would love to hear from you.
Yes.
And also what your picks would be if you could narrow down 5 films. And we're going to head this on over to Announcer Guy. He's going to close our show and let you all know how you can get in touch with us. So until next episode, Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Absurd Cinema Lounge. Be sure to subscribe to the show. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Absurd Cinema Lounge. You can contact the ladies of the lounge at absurdcinemalounge@gmail.com. I'm Announcer Guy, reminding you to tune in to mini episode number 2 for Kara's